Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. Together we dive into the world of sci-fi and science fiction. From episodes of Star Trek, Star Wars, to The Walking Dead, Resident Evil, all the hot new science fiction movies from the back doors of Marvel or DC. The Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast. You'll never look at science fiction the same way again.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts Science Fiction Podcast. I'm your favorite host, Pauline.
And I'm Shay Northrup.
Your not so favorite host. And
ouch.
No, it just depends, you know. It depends on your flavor, I guess. But so we have some exciting and some controversial news that we wanted to discuss throughout this episode. So I think we should just start with kind of like the good side. I mean, I don't think it's controversial.
It is controversial.
You think so?
A lot of people are upset about this.
But that's the interesting thing to me. Like, why is it that big of a deal?
Well, let's tell them what it is before we really start.
Okay, wait. Am I telling them my story or your story?
Your story first.
Okay, so my story first. Okay, so Jessica Jones is set to start season 2, right? Okay.
Yes.
So
it's a great show, by the way. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out.
Right. And so you can catch up before we begin. But they are coming out with a season 2, and it's going to be on Netflix. And they have decided to feature an all-female director's cast. So everything is going to be directed by females. And as Shay already kind of shared, people are kind of mad about it when I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal.
I honestly don't think it's that big of a deal either. I think here's what people are saying. And
right.
I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I don't actually necessarily agree with this.
Okay.
So a lot of people are saying that it's kind of a little bit like the whole affirmative action argument that getting all female directors to direct Jessica Jones just for the sake of having all female actresses is a little bit sexist in of itself. And not just that, but like if you were to go and get all white men to direct an episode and you were making that a thing, everybody would get mad.
Right.
If you were to make all black men directing an episode, everyone would say that was racist. And, you know, so a lot of people are kind of saying that this is a little bit sexist and a little bit messed up.
It's all girls.
But I think one of the things that it's important to note, and here's my thing. If they are doing it just to do it, kind of like the whole Ghostbusters thing, like, hey, in your face, look, we're flipping everything around just for the sake of doing that, I think that that's kind of a problem.
Right.
But I don't think that Jessica Jones is having this problem.
Right. And so it was announced officially like at the USC's panel that they had entitled Transforming Hollywood 7, Diversifying Entertainment. But Variety actually broke this kind of this news first, and they did say that wasn't the original plan. Like it kind of just
fell in that way, and this is why that's okay.
And because they were talented, and that's what they liked, and then they realized, you know, this is
and
going to be all female directors.
Jessica Jones is a show about feminism in of itself,
right?
And, like Jessica Jones herself has dealt with trauma because of another male super, you know,
right?
And it's kind of one of those shows that kind of sexualizes the men a little bit, and it, you know, like it's more oriented for a female audience,
right?
And it's a show where the main character is a strong female, and who's better to write and direct strong females than
females
women?
Females breaking that barrier.
Now, I know there are a lot of women that can write good men, and I know that there are a lot of men directors that can write good women.
Sure.
I mean, it doesn't always happen, but there are definitely people out there who can do it.
Sure.
Now, I don't think that this is a problem, and I know a lot of people are kind of upset because they're thinking, well, that this is messed up. They shouldn't do it this way. There shouldn't just be all females for the sake of females. I don't think that they're going for it in that idea. I think they're doing what's working best for them, who they think is going to work best, and it just so happens that they're all female.
Right.
I don't think that this is going to be like a big marketing thing that they're trying to sell people. Unlike a lot of other people seem to think that that's that way. Like only certain people, like only a few people really know about this. Like this isn't something that they're like openly like flaunting in your face, kind of like Ghostbusters was. And even with Ghostbusters, I think it's a little sickening how much of a bad rap it got just for the sake of them gender bending. Like, I think that those poor girls got treated a little unfairly, even though I think the movie itself isn't very good.
Gotcha. Well, and I agree, and I think that, like how you said, they're not making it. This is like not the marketing ploy for this. Not, it just so happens, and of course, people are freaking out just because we have to freak out about something, you know.
Yeah. But well, there are definitely better things to freak out about.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, and it's not. As long as my whole thing is, as long as you enjoy watching it, who really, you know, it does matter. You know, because like I said, this is something that is, you know, changing and diversifying. And this was something, and I think that that's probably why it was brought up at this panel, just because this panel, the talk was in regards to diversifying entertainment. So this is, you know, a barrier that's being broken, having an all-female director cast like that.
Right.
But it's not something... It's 2016, you know? It's
right. There shouldn't be a problem. We need more female directors anyway.
And it's fine, as long as it's to good entertainment.
Right.
Who, you know...
Speaking of strong females that are getting a little bit of heat right now. So there has been a bit of an uproar. Particularly, you can find this article on Yahoo. So please blow it up and give this girl a lot of trouble. People are really upset because... Ironheart. So Ironheart is the new Iron Man. She picked up where Tony left off.
Right.
And she is a 15-year-old young girl who is incredibly intelligent and picked up a piece of Iron Man's armor and is tampering with it, and she's going to be the new Iron Man. And this is awesome because Marvel is really starting to focus on a lot of really strong female superheroes, and I love it. Ironheart's a good example. Captain Marvel is now a female. Miss Marvel is of course a female. There are all kinds of really cool female superheroes that they can look up to, whereas before, in the past, the only one you really had was like Wonder Woman.
Right.
Which Wonder Woman in of herself, like you want to talk... So they have released... I'll get into that. Like just a second here.
Yes, I can see it.
One of the things that's really interesting is some non-comic book readers. Now this is the lady who wrote this article. Obviously knows nothing about comic books. They released a Iron Man variant cover for the first issue of the Ironheart one. It's the Invincible Iron Man is the new series that she is in, and there's a variant cover. There's two variant covers. One where she's in her full armor, and one where she's in a crop top. And it was done by pinup artist J. Scott Campbell. And I guess there's a big uproar about this because, oh no, how dare we show a female's midriff in comic books? Obviously, this is a big sexist over-sexualization of a female character. You know what? She doesn't look sexual. She doesn't look like she's in a sexual position. She looks strong, independent, and like she can take care of herself.
She does look really strong. And I think... And Shay and I, we were kind of discussing this before we started the show, and it's kind of a weird space for me because, you know, there is some things where it's like, okay, they had to make someone extra girly because she's a girl. But when I first saw the cover art by J. Scott Campbell, I thought she looked pretty cool. I thought she looked strong. I was like, dang, she looks pretty BA. You know?
She does not look like a...
She looks like me. I'm like, she looks like me. I want to be her. She looks strong. And I know that people are freaking out, especially in this article, they're freaking out because of the hypersexualization of her because she's only supposed to be like 15.
She's a 15-year-old girl, yeah.
So I kind of get it, but...
15-year-old girls dress way worse than this.
And so I'm not sure, you know, because...
Well, she's even getting upset about this picture of... She's getting upset about, like, Kate Bishop, who barely is showing any midriff at all, and is very modest by superhero standards, let me tell you. She's getting upset about that. She's also upset about Wonder Girl, who is completely clothed. She's just showing her shoulders, if anything. Just a little bit
like
of...
a little halter top.
A little bit, yeah. Like, it's ridiculous. Basically... They're getting upset for people that are walking around in less than a swimsuit. And back in the day, comic books were just people in swimsuits. One of the things that you really have to keep in mind once you start looking at comic books and comic book art is this: it's just like the Greek statues, right?
Right.
The Greek statues showed men and women in their purest, most well-defined form. And that's what superheroes are. Superheroes are our gods. They are our Greek gods. We don't worship them like gods, of course, but they are our heroes. And oftentimes you find them at the peak of physical performance. Nobody gets upset when we have like there was an issue in the past where there was a Spider-Girl comic book where she was in a pose that was considered over-sexualized. She's completely clothed and she's in the exact same pose that Spider-Man is often featured in, but no, we have to go and get upset at these comic book artists for these little stupid things when we don't know anything about comic book history, when we don't know anything about like what it means to be like a Greek, like the Greek art and that sort of thing, and celebrating the human body. Why can't we celebrate the human body? I don't understand. This isn't Empowered. If you want to look up a comic book that is legitimately sexist and legitimately offensive to women, look up Empowered. This thing drives me nuts. Empowered is a comic book where we have a woman who her superpower is her super suit, but her super suit is so fragile that anything can just rip it off. And as it gets ripped off her body, she gets more and more weak, and she is constantly in situations where she's getting tied up. You want to talk about a comic book that started out hella sexist? You should talk about the original Wonder Woman, who was written by a psychologist who had 2 wives, and they all enjoyed bondage, and Wonder Woman's only flaw back in the day, and the way to get her to do what you wanted was to tie her up. Yeah. And Wonder Woman today is viewed as a very empowering, super excellent feminist hero. I just think you should know that. Look up the origin of Wonder Woman, who, of course, is the original superhero that women looked up to. I don't think that Ironheart is a problem. I don't think you should think Ironheart is a problem. And it makes me really mad that we have all these people coming after comic books when they're getting more progressive than they've ever been. That's all I have to say about that.
So that it's not funny. This is not a funny situation.
No, but, it's just like
Shay was very upset about this article, rightfully so. And especially when you think about it just in general, like you were making the case and argument for Superwoman. And so if you haven't seen the variant cover, it's the one where she's in the suit. She looks really cool. I think she looks pretty BA, like I've already said. She looks really strong. I think that she looks kind of she looks like, whether this is right or wrong, she looks like a teenage girl today.
She looks like an average teenage girl today with a little bit of extra muscle.
Right. Like she looks like really strong. And
she doesn't look sexy. Like I don't know. I don't think so. I think she looks like a strong, top, powerful woman.
I don't know.
I think that,
like you said, it's not a bra.
And it's not a brassiere, it's not a bra, and it's a variant cover, guys. This is the thing.
Right.
Like it's always the variant covers that people come after. You don't have to buy the variant cover. Actually, the variant cover is more expensive. The variant cover is for collectors.
So it's a little, but so she was making a case for the fact that I think mostly just because how young she was and things like that, but also at the same time, I mean, I don't know. So it would have been, I don't know. This one's kind of like a...
Well, she even makes a case about a Powerpuff Girls cover where they look a little bit more like they're in their teens, but there's nothing sexualized about it. They are completely covered up. I don't know.
Like
I guess this lady wants everyone to dress like Puritans in comic books. Like, is that where we're going? I thought the body positivity and not slut shaming, excuse my language, I thought that was not okay in our society anymore. But I guess I was wrong.
So Shay is not happy at all.
Well, and I think it's really funny to read the comments, and you guys should attack the comments, because even like some of the more like everybody just thinks that she is just overly sensitive. And
I think she
really
is kind of pushing it a little bit, only because, like you said, how progressive comic books are, and I think
she's looking for a fight.
Everything things are. There's going to be pros and cons of everything. I think the point that people are missing is that, this comic book character, Ironheart, is like, she's young, she's a teenage girl, and she's smart.
Well, and she's I think really the best thing about it too is
more
Iron Man is huge.
Yeah, and for them to deviate, and we've been kind of discussing in multiple podcast shows on the network, have been discussing and waiting for Ironheart. And when she was first, when we first heard the news of Iron Man being a woman, and then we found out that she was a young, smart girl who's in college and things like that. And I think that sometimes people, and I think you have to understand too that it is a variant cover, and also it's more of like a collector's item, and that I think she's
fully clothed. She's not in spandex.
Wearing,
she's not in a Speedo.
She I don't know, because it's one of those things where she, I think, represents what we want girls to be like, and what we say, you know, be smart and to be your own.
Right.
And things like that. And then we get mad at what she's wearing, whether it's right or wrong. I think that belittles everything else about her.
Yeah, no, I think that bringing up what she's wearing is actually, in a sense, regressive.
That goes into the whole conversation. So
please look it up. Like, you'll look at this, and you guys will all.
And like, she looks. When we first started looking at the cover art, I thought she looked really, really cool.
Yeah,
she does look a little bit more mature than a 15-year-old would.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, that's comic books though.
But it's like, yeah, you know. But then exactly, and this isn't really marketed to babies either, right? And I think that if anything, this is going to start I think there are much worse stuff out there that are a little bit more.
I mean, just go walk around on Halloween and you'll see. Yeah,
she just looks like a really cool girl. I want to be her friend, actually.
Right? No, I want to be her friend too.
Yeah, she's really cool. She looks good.
Oh man!
And people are probably gonna hate me for saying that because I'm the girl, but yeah. I mean. She looks cool. I think she looks really good.
The best thing I think about this, and I think this is something we need to consider, and I don't think this is something that the author considered. We have taken one of Marvel's biggest properties, which is Iron Man. Iron Man is one of their biggest go-to heroes.
Yeah, everybody loves Iron Man.
And it is now a strong female black character. This is huge.
That's what I'm saying. People are going to be so focused on one variant cover of her wearing a crop top and leggings,
as opposed to the fact that Marvel is stepping forward and bringing a strong female character really into the forefront.
And she has, and I was going to say this too, because like I said, she kind of reminds, like, she looks like me. I want to look like this. And like her hair, even like the fact that she has like a fro is a big deal.
Yeah, it's great.
And that they didn't have her have straight hair and make it, you know, more of what society, like, you know, just
she's not whitewashed at all.
Yeah,
and I
everything
love it.
about her is amazing, and the fact that she's super, super smart and things like that is just. I agree, and I think that they're taking away everything else that she represents, and how you were saying that shift to that from it being
just jumping to her clothing based on and forgetting everything else about the character.
Yes,
that in of itself is sexist.
And because she just looks cool. She looks great. If you haven't seen the cover art, I think she looks pretty cool. I'm considering being her for Halloween now because she looks that cool. Like, she looks that cool.
If you're going to get mad about sexualizing her, get mad about sexualizing Peter Parker, who was like 14, 15 when he got his powers.
They're all kind of young.
And he's
honestly.
Like buff yeah. Anyway, enough of that. When we get back, we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about Max Steel and M. Night Shyamalan's new movie. Fun stuff. All right. Stick around.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch, whatever it may be.
Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Science Fiction Podcast. Now we're going to talk to you guys a little bit about a film that has just recently been released. We're going to kind of do our little thing where we kind of learn a little bit about it. We watch the trailer, and we're going to tell you what we actually think about it.
Yes.
So, Max Steel, I guess it's based on a cartoon that with the same name and a very similar concept. Now, this movie is in theaters right now. October 14th, 2016 is the release date. The running time is 92 minutes, and it features Ben Winchell, Josh Brenner, Andy Garcia, Maria Bello, and Billy Slaughter. What a cool last name.
A Slaughter, yeah. That is
so
a cool last
written
name.
by Christopher Yost and directed by Stuart Hindler. Now, if you're not familiar with what Max Steel is, it is an American science fiction action superhero film directed by Stuart Hindler about... I guess it's based on a toy line / show, but what it's really about is it's kind of an origin story. So this teenager, he wants to know what happened to his dad because, like in every teenage angst film, your parents are dead.
Yes.
And I guess his dad, like in every teenage angst film, is a super scientist who created essentially a floating robot. And so I guess Max gets like powers from this floaty robot.
It's like, well, when we were watching the trailer, it was kind of like he's teaching him how to use his own powers.
Yeah.
He's like a guardian angel type
kind of a thing.
coach, trainer
/ sidekick. So like I guess he gets like
annoying
a
little
suit
brother
that like attaches to him with this. So like Max is the name of the main character and Steel is the name of the robot. And I guess like they turn into a suit. Like it turns into
That's
a
what
suit.
I'm wondering. If he like builds the suit or does this robot
I think the robot turns
becomes
into
a suit?
It's not very clear, but he has a suit. And I guess like he has to save the day from aliens like in every other teenage angst film.
I wasn't really impressed by this one. According to the trailer.
Yeah, no, it looks like something that I'm really not interested in seeing. I know our boss watched the show and he actually like wants to see this. I don't know about this one though. I think that this looks pretty bad. Just to give you an idea, IMDb gave it a 5. Robert Ebert gave it a 0.5 out of 4. And Metacritic gave it a 22%, just to kind of give you an idea about where this is going. Now, IMDb is something that I hold with a grain of salt because everybody overrates things on IMDb.
Yes.
I don't like the 1 out of 10 system. I like the 1 out of 5 system because it's really easy. Everybody always gives movies 7s when you do the 1 out of 10 system.
No, right, because it's not
either
too
a 7,
bad.
a 1, or a 10.
It's not great. Yes.
So you might as well just go on the 1 through 5 system. This is a 5 out of 10, which is an F. If we're grading this as a term paper. But IMDb always overrates things. I've seen things that I would give, like, if we're rating it on this horribly unbalanced scale, I would rate I've seen things that I would rate as like a 4 or a 5, been given 7s. And I've seen things that I would rate as like a 9 or a 10, get 7s. So
That's
like
true.
IMDb is just full of 7s. So the 5.10 is saying something. Roger Ebert, who I think that site can be a little snobby. The fact that it gave it a 0.5, I have never seen such a low score from Robert Ebert. And then Metacritic has given it a 22%.
Yeah,
I don't know what Rotten Tomatoes has to say about it, but the overall user score is a 1.2 on Metascore.
It's just, I mean, maybe it'll be cute. I don't know. It's PG-13, so maybe little kids will enjoy it.
PG-13 is automatically a red flag for me. I don't know if you guys know anything about the history of PG-13. Do you know anything about the history of PG-13?
No, please. I actually need to hear I need to know.
I have been waiting to give this talk, actually.
He's been waiting on his moment. He's shifting in his seat.
I did a report one time in college about movie ratings. And so back in the day, way back in the day, there was the Film Commission, and the Film Commission, there wasn't ratings, but your film had to have certain family guidelines to be considered for Hollywood.
Sure.
You know, like you needed the parents could not be in the same bed. You couldn't show midriff. You couldn't. It was very Puritan. You couldn't have immoral things. And if it did have immoral things, like the movie Scarface, or like the early Scarface, like the 1940s one, or Public Enemy, which was one of the original like degenerate films about mobs. If it portrayed a protagonist in a poor light, like slapping a woman, being an alcoholic,
right,
doing drugs and that sort of thing, you had to put a warning in the beginning of your film saying this is a deplorable film, this, that, and the other thing. Well, then in the 60s and 70s, that kind of went away, and so there was like a rating system of like PG, rated R, and like X. And X was like ultra violent and super sexual. R was like, you know, R-rated films, kind of how they are today, but not quite as intense. And then there was PG, which was everything else. So you had movies like Beastmaster coming out where there were whole scenes of like people like being crucified and up on stakes and stuff like that. And that was PG because it wasn't super, super bad. Well, with the movie Gremlins and Raiders of the Lost Ark. So Gremlins was rated PG, and so a lot of people were upset because they saw this cute little mogwai on the cover, and they were like, "Oh, this might be cool to take my kid to," and they took their kids to it, and it's a super violent film about little creatures that like attack people.
Right.
That actually wasn't the thing that bothered parents, believe it or not. The thing that bothered parents in that movie was actually the fact that there's a scene where one of the main characters explains why she didn't believe in Santa and why she hates Christmas. And that was the scene that bothered people.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that like of all the chainsaw wielding maniacs running around, but the thing that bothers people is they ruin Christmas for their kids. Anyway, and then there was Raiders of the Lost Ark, which had that scene where the guy's face melts off. And the rating board, they realized, oh man, like this is really we can't be showing stuff that's this intense, so we need to have a middle ground between R and PG, and it was PG-13. Well, PG-13 was stuff like Red Dawn. Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie.
Oh.
So it was actually still really violent.
Right.
But, you know, and Red Dawn at one point had like a record for like squibs used in a scene up until like it had a record for something blood related. And so it was more films like that. Like Jurassic Park was PG-13. Nowadays, if it's even remotely scary, you use more than one curse word, or if there's any blood.
Yeah, PG-13 is a really broad
PG-13
rating.
is where G used to be.
No, I agree.
The Goonies would be rated PG-13 today.
It's real. Everything is.
I think
rated PG-13.
I think it's a little ridiculous. And there's even like the G rating, which is like, you know, that was a thing for a really long time for little kids.
Right.
G doesn't even exist anymore. Nobody makes G-rated movies because that used to be the go-to, and PG was like a step above. Well, once they released Shrek and that got a PG rating, they realized, oh, we can just get away with doing PG movies, and nobody does G movies anymore.
Yep.
So it's really interesting. I think the rating system is a little bit out of whack.
Yeah, it's pretty skewed.
So whenever I see a movie's PG-13, I know it's trying to pander to the middle audience because that's where all the money comes from. It comes from the preteens, right? So that's why all the Marvel movies are PG-13. That's why, you know, like, and it's ridiculous too because it's blood. It's not shooting people. You can shoot people all day as long as they don't bleed, which is unrealistic, and it shows people that there are no repercussions to your rash actions.
Yeah, exactly. I agree because there's some stuff I'm like, okay.
So I don't know. When I see that it's PG-13, I see it kind of has that Disney feel. It feels like it's marketed towards children. I really don't think that this is going to be the kind of thing that anybody's going to remember. You know what I mean?
Max Steel, yeah.
I'm not going to go see it in theaters. I don't think you should go see it in theaters. I guess this is more of a PSA.
It is out right now, so I mean, if you've already seen it.
I mean, there's really nothing in the science fiction world that's coming out right now unless you want to wait for The Arrival or you want to wait for Star Wars. And believe me, Star Wars is well worth the wait, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to cut to another break. When we get back, we're going to talk about M. Night Shyamalan's new film, Split. It's going to be a blast.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines, they got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
And welcome back. So we're getting ready to wrap up this episode, but before we do, we wanted to discuss with you guys a movie that is coming out in January, so 2000.
Oh, worst month ever for movies.
So it's almost in a few months, and it's called Split. So the name of the movie is Split, and basically what it is there's a man who has 23 different personalities, and he kidnaps 3 teenage girls. And we watched the trailer, and it's kind of like a scary movie. And I was kind of nervous to watch the trailer because you guys know I don't like scary movies and all that. But one, it didn't look scary at all.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Not even like the jumpy parts. I didn't jump. I was still just eating my sandwich calmly. And then when we were watching the trailer, and it's kind of one of those things where I'm not sure how it's going to be received, just because, okay,
it's going to be terribly received. I can guarantee you that right now.
Right, because it has to do with having split personalities, and he kidnaps the girls, like I just said. And according to the trailer, it looks like every day or every so often, whatever it is, every time he goes into, I think it's like a basement area where he's keeping them, they're met by a different personality, a different person.
Yeah, so there are 23 personalities, and the 24th and the final personality is the Beast. Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure if they're going to make this out to seem like he's possessed by something, or if I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's going to be received very well.
No, it's not. I guarantee you.
Because I kind of was. It's especially with that 4th personality, like you said, the Beast. I'm not quite sure. How, like I said, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
So let me just say that this trailer is outrageously lame.
The trailer itself doesn't make you.
So this is by filmmaker M. Night Shyamalan, and if you're not familiar with M. Night Shyamalan, he did good movies such as The Shining, Unbreakable, and arguably Signs. Now you can argue that till the cows kill him. I'm not going to fight you on that. Now,
okay.
He is also the man who made the monstrosities such as Lady in the Water, The Happening, Devil, which is about an elevator possessed by Satan.
I didn't watch that, but I wasn't
and
like,
The
what
Visit.
it is.
All of those movies. Oh, he also did After Earth, which is probably the worst sci-fi movie I've ever seen. And he also did, oh my gosh, God, that horribly awful Last Airbender movie. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was
was
pretty bad. That was bad. That was very disappointing.
So I don't know why they keep giving this guy money to make movies, because his career started good and just has gotten bad and bad and bad and worse and worse and worse after every single movie he's done. I don't understand why they keep giving him money to make things. I think they think his name is going to do it, because I was going to say,
I feel like people, when they hear his name, they're like, ooh, I want to see that movie. And I'm like, okay.
So he's gone back to his horror roots with The Visit, which, by the way, The Visit is not worth a watch. I could talk all day about why The Visit is a bad movie. It's not the worst thing I've seen him do, and it's actually better than a lot of what he's done, but this just looks awful. So this is a movie about a man with 23 split personalities. His psychiatrist knows what he's doing, by the way. They explain this in the trailer. She's like, he's such a bad man. He's got so many personalities, and he's so messed up. And I'm just like, then put him in solitary confinement. Take him away to prison. Do something. He is not sane. He's not okay. Put him in a mental hospital. I don't know why you guys are letting him roam around the streets. He comes to your office every week.
I'm just not sure how.
But let's get over that.
I'm not sure that part. Yeah, because like Shay did say, he is speaking to someone and trying to get help to get a grasp on what's happening with him. Psychologically.
Psychologist, yeah.
Yes. And so
James McAvoy is the actor for this, and he looks like he's actually going to be doing a decent job.
Yeah, I like him.
But judging by like the actual content of it, it looks like I'm going to be laughing the entire time. Like,
it doesn't look scary, yeah, and they're making it seem like he's haunted, and that's what I'm saying. That part I just don't like.
This is the
idea of, since he has multiple personalities, like he's being haunted.
The thing that had my side splitting with laughter
Shay?
They're sitting there and they're looking through the door and they're like, oh no, there's a girl out there. And then he walks, then like the lady walks in and it like pans up to his face and it's like, oh no, a man dressed as a woman? Oh, I've never seen that before. Oh, so
it's
scary.
It's just going to be an interesting thing.
So
yeah,
scary.
I don't know if they're trying to make it scary. I don't know if this is supposed to be It says like a psychological thriller. I wasn't getting thrilled. I wasn't scared at all. I was literally just eating my sandwich. And I was like, this is not a good idea. Who approved of this? This is not a good idea.
There's literally a part in the trailer where like she's like talking to one of his little voices and it's like, hey, you mentioned a window. Can you show me the window? And then like she goes into the room and it's a drawing of a window that he has pinned to a wall and he's like, see, the window's closed, and then he like flips it up and it's the window's open and now it's open. Did you think you were going to escape or something? I just cracked up. Like,
yeah, I don't know if it's just
me?
like, because it kind of reminds me of, well, according to the trailer, and not with the personality thing, but the fact, like the parts that are supposed to be, I guess, kind of scary, it kind of reminds me of like the scary movies. You know, when they're just like making fun of scary movies. Yeah. And so some of the stuff I'm like, okay,
that was like a comedy.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, exactly. And I'm like, some of the scary parts, I'm like,
the split personality thing has been done a million times.
And it's really, and then really being locked in the basement. Yeah. And they only open the door and there's no windows and nobody knows that they're under there.
But there's going to be a twist. It's M. Night Shyamalan.
And then the girls are going to, of course, escape. They're gonna escape, and he's probably gonna let them out.
Well, they probably all have some sort of like moral disability about them, or they all have something. They all have like one moral flaw, and then they all have one thing that's redeeming, and they're all going to have to put together and use each other's strengths to get out.
And one of them just gets like, I think, married to him. So it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, this looks like a piece of garbage. It just
looks like something that people are not gonna. Well, I personally didn't care for the fact that they made it seem like he's possessed.
I'm definitely going to see this in theaters, and I think I'm going to bring a flask. This is going to be a lot of fun.
No,
I'm gonna.
I'm not sure. It doesn't look scary. It just looks like, it really reminded me when I was watching it. I was like, okay, this might be kind of like a comedy, because like the jumpy parts weren't jumpy, and the psychological thrills that I guess I was just like, wait, no.
My friends and I, we watch M. Night Shyamalan films and laugh at them. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna get a group of people together, and we're all gonna go on the premiere, and we're just gonna make fun of it, because honestly, he needs to stop writing his own stuff, or maybe he just needs to write and have somebody else direct. Like something's got to give with this guy. He's definitely well overstayed his welcome in Hollywood. And I mean, Universal Pictures produced this. Hey, how about Universal? You stop giving him money, and you let me direct a horror film, because I could scare your pants on way worse than M. Night Shyamalan. And on that note, this has been the Golden State Media Concepts Science Fiction Podcast. I'm Shay Northrup.
I'm Pauline.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, GSMCpodcast.com,
iTunes.
And from me and Pauline,
stay saucy.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sci-Fi Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.